Welcome back to the show, folks. This is the upper tier. It's a drive time special. We're going to be talking about the situation with Jadon Sancho, Erik ten Hag and Man United, and the mess and the shambles that this has become. Absolutely crazy. Driving home today, traffic's heavy. It's absolutely teeming out outside. Unbelievable. Not the kind of night you want to be playing ball in the Carabao Cup, that's for sure, but it's horrible out. Biblical nearly. God help anyone out there who's homeless. Absolutely horrible out there at the moment. Really, really bad. Maybe this is the beginning of this storm that's going to burst through Ireland and the UK over the next couple of days, coming in from the Atlantic that was originally in Florida. Not sure where they're calling it, Agnes or something like that, but looks like we're going to be in for some heavy duty weather over the next number of days. But stay safe, don't go out, folks, unless you have to, you know. But yeah, let's talk about this situation that's evolved. You go back, what is it now, 3-4 weeks ago, whatever it was, or 3 weeks ago, whenever they played Arsenal, or 4 weeks, whatever it was, and Erik ten Hag dropping that bomb in that press conference. Obviously he was absolutely peed off and disgusted and fed up at the way the Arsenal game went, and a few decisions didn't go their way, and obviously he was aggravated and stuff like that, and he dropped that situation about Jadon Sancho and the issues with training and all that kind of stuff, and straight away Sancho out of the blocks defending himself, comes out with the Instagram post basically throwing the manager under the bus, saying, nah, this is not the case, I've been training fine, and being used as a scapegoat and all this kind of stuff. Obviously would have flared up things. I don't think Erik ten Hag envisaged how this was all just going to blow up and go crazy, and certainly it's become a ball of mess at Man United at a time as well where it's the last thing Man United needed. I mean, you got the Greenwood stuff going on, you got the takeover, stagnating and people getting up about that and all. You've got injuries, the Anthony situation came upon them. They're having to deal with that now. The Anthony allegations and all, and now that leaves them looking where that side of the pitch was pretty set. Now it's really, really exposed. And it's become a mess. Then Jadon Sancho, of course, pinning the post to the top of his social, so the minute you go on there, boom, that's the post that you see. There was a conversation to be had during the international break and a sit down and all. Didn't happen. Then it happened towards the end of it. Didn't provide any resolution. Ten Hag was standing firm in his corner. Sancho was standing firm over his post. The United fan base going absolutely crazy about this, the disrespect to the manager, all this kind of thing. Then you had the media coming out attacking Sancho, basically saying, yeah, he has history of this for England and Dortmund and Man City and all this kind of thing. So this picture was being painted. And then you Ten Hag standing firm. He pushed Sancho to the side. He wasn't training with the first team squad anymore. He was training alone, dedicated training alone. Then we find out over the last few days now they've upped the ante on that because there doesn't seem to be a resolution to it. And now Sancho finds himself not involved in any of the first squad activities, not around, nothing available to him. He's not even allowed to sit in the canteen or the dining area for the first time around like that. He's absolutely hung out there on his own. And it's a difficult one for the boy as well, because he's not helping himself as well. You're saying during their European game, he was on the PlayStation, on YouTube or whatever it was and stuff like that. There's talk he's been staying up till 3 a.m. and stuff like that, playing gaming and all. I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't follow Jadon Sancho. Obviously, I'm an outsider looking from the outside in, giving my opinion on the situation. And then we seen that he headed off to that New York Fashion Week thing and stuff like that and all. And that's the kind of thing you do when you're playing really, really well and things are going well for you. And, you have a little bit of downtime during the international break, so the gaffer allows you time to go off and, decompress and stuff like that. But Jadon Sancho's been playing in this team and he hasn't been very good. He certainly hasn't been the Jadon Sancho that lit up the Bundesliga. If you go back a number of years ago, when he was in there playing, he was phenomenal in the Bundesliga. He was looking like a generational talent. He was so good. And then he came to Man United And this is where you kind of have to draw the line between club responsibility and player responsibility. And there's been a lot of upheaval at Man United. Let's be clear about that. A lot of different things going on, a lot of distractions, and a lot of the players there, who a lot of them we know are very good players, aren't performing anywhere near the level that you would expect them to perform. And naturally that has a knock-on effect through the squad, because as a team they're not performing. And it's really, really difficult when you look at Jadon Sancho there, who for a period of time there wasn't getting a look into the team. Obviously his own form wasn't great, but then when you're not getting that opportunity when Antony's in the team and his form isn't great, and the whole timing of this around the Antony thing as well must be disappointing Jadon Sancho, because obviously if this hadn't have blown up and if he had took what the gaffer said on the chin and said, right, I'm going to knuckle down and get on with it and all that kind of thing, hadn't reacted. And I think that's the reaction that the gaffer was expecting, that Sancho would arrive into training, there'd be no reaction on social media, no posting. He would arrive into training, put the gears to the grinder and get in there, do extra work, do extra training, whatever it takes to get back in the team. Would have had that opportunity to get back in the team, obviously, when Antony coming out of the team until everything's resolved for his situation. So timing is everything, isn't it? And at a time, as I said, where the team is crying out for a person in that position. Whether you think Sancho is the guy to do it or not, who knows? That's a different conversation. So it looks like everything is kind of really broken down really bad, gotten really sour. And there's a number of things that come out of this. One, obviously Ten Hag didn't get the reaction he thought he was going to get from what he said. I think he thought that this was going to motivate Jadon Sancho. We know last year he went off for 3 months to Holland. They were talking about getting fitness and stuff like that, but we later learned that it was something to do with mental health issues and stuff like that the boy was dealing with, apparently. And this has risen its head as well. There's been conversations coming out now that Sancho wasn't happy with the way that information was portrayed by the club at the time. And the club at the moment is it's a shit show really when you think about it, because where this situation, you want the manager to deal with it, the player to be dealt with whatever way the manager sees fit, but the club seems to be press releasing stuff every day. It's like they're reopening that wound all the time, at a time where Erik Ten Hag is struggling and trying to bring the team together and get it back playing, dealing with the injuries, dealing with the poor form, dealing with a run of poor results, all that kind of stuff. And the club just keeps on opening that wound again and again and again when it's not needed. And this is where this stuff came out, that he's now being, totally pushed to the side now and absolutely ostracised from the club. So it doesn't look like there's potentially any coming back from this. Now the problem that presents is, one, United are very short in that position. Two, again, and they've had a lot of this recently, you look at Greenwood, who was there, who was an absolute asset on the book and stuff like that. Everything that happened there, asset disappears off the book potentially. Let's see how the Getafe situation goes. Antony, massive asset on the book, huge money and stuff like that, now not in the squad, trying to fix up all these allegations. And now you have Sancho, massive asset on the book, 70 odd million, 350 grand a week, now not available. And there's a pattern kind of developing here in United in terms of, a lot of their key players who are on the books, who are big money, are getting devalued and devalued and devalued. And the problem is that now Erik Ten Hag is taking a stance on this. It's kind of put the club in a bit of a position, because Jadon Sancho, under normal circumstances, if things were rosy and going in the garden and you wanted to get rid of him, you'd be commanding a decent fee, sizable fee, similar to what they paid, or a little bit less maybe. Obviously the wage would be an issue if you're trying to move him on, but now it's going to be very difficult. Now you're looking at United in a situation in January where they have to move him on, assuming the manager is still in charge and hasn't been given the boot or something like that. So these are the three scenarios here. The three scenarios are: one, there's talk of the PFA getting involved and having a conversation and trying to mediate through this as well, which for me is really, really poor on the club side, because the club is paying enough high-level individuals to get these people into a room, to shake their heads and give their heads a wobble, to not necessarily pinpoint who's right, who's wrong, but to act in the best interests of the club. And the best interests of the club is to get Jadon Sancho back on the pitch, because that's a real problem at the moment. But then you've got the Ten Hag element of it, the Jadon Sancho element of it. How do you fix that and stuff like that? But you would think with a club like Man United, with the high level people they have in there, Murta and these guys and all, Arnold and all, how do they let this thing fester to the point where you're devaluing an asset by 50 million or whatever it is? Because the likelihood now is 3 scenarios. One, he goes back into the team. They come to a compromise. He goes back into the team and he works his way back into the team and starts playing. 2, he gets sold in January. And if he gets sold in January, it's going to be quite a difficult sale to do, because 1, United are looking at potentially having to write off maybe 45 million or 40 million or whatever it is, because he'll probably go for about 25 because they're going to need to move him. Plus he's carrying huge wage. No club is going to pay Jadon Sancho 350 grand a week, so he's going to have to compromise on the wage. He's going to be looking for United to buffer that out, similar to what happened with Maguire when he was trying to go to West Ham. He wanted United to buffer it out by 6 million because of the pay cut he was taking going to West Ham, and they were having none of it. So you're looking at a similar situation with Jadon Sancho. So that's going to make a deal to move him very, very difficult. And I mean, the third situation and the third scenario is that Ten Hag potentially ends up losing his job. And I'm not saying that's the right or the wrong thing to do, but he could potentially lose his job if results keep on going similar to the way they're going. And then a new manager comes in, and Jadon Sancho gets some sort of a rebirth and comes back into the team under this new manager, starts playing and starts rediscovering the form that initially led Man United to buy the guy. So they're the kind of 3 scenarios that are there up in the air at the moment. Jadon Sancho ultimately, although he's not doing his credibility any good with what's going on at the moment, he's certainly holding a lot of the aces there at the moment, because he's getting paid 350 grand a week. He's either going to end up back in the team or he's going to force a move. The move is going to be for him another lucrative move, depending on where he goes. You know, the pressure is still ratcheting up on Ten Hag, so there's no pressure ratcheting up on Jadon Sancho. And it's really, really concerning in the way the club has handled it. I think they've handled it really, really bad. I think their communication, I don't think they should be communicating to the outside about this at all. But I think this all goes back and starts with the announcement at the Arsenal press conference from Ten Hag. I don't think that information, I know he was asked a question. He could have just bypassed the question. He could have said something and just bypassed it, made up something. I think stuff like that should be really handled in-house. You know, and I think there's a mechanism there for it through fines or whatever it is to handle those kind of things. And I think at times, and I've said it before about Erik Ten Hag, and I'm not going in on him here, I think maybe he's a bit too forthcoming with too much detail and information through his honesty or something like that, where normally we would find that a bit refreshing from managers. I think he gives out too much detail, and we know the vultures in the British media, the way they grab hold of that and stuff like that, you know. They just run with it and they can cascade it in different ways and stuff like that, you know. But we've seen it before. We've seen it before where there's been trouble at United in terms of players' relationships with managers. Obviously, Jadon Sancho was close to the squad. I know we've heard a lot of stuff where the squad is disappointed in him and all this kind of thing. I don't believe that. He's a lot of friends in there, and he's a lot of friends in there in that squad. He's close to people and stuff like that. And remember, one of his closest friends, Rashford, and stuff like that as well, he's under the spotlight at the moment as well. There's a lot of talk about him wanting to be getting dropped and people looking for him to be dropped and all this kind of thing. His form isn't good either and all. And these guys all talk, you know, and this is how this ball rolls. And as I've said before, players tend not to get sacked, managers do. So I don't know how this is going to end up. I'm not too sure if the PFA gets involved. Are they going to come to a resolution? Are we going to see Jadon Sancho back on the pitch before the new year? My thinking is United are going to have to start playing him if they want to put him in the shop window, because I think the more you leave him out there training on his own and you ostracise him, I think you're devaluing him all the time. And I think that's why Eric Ten Hag at times is very clever in the way he keeps McTominay and Maguire around. Because it keeps the valuation at a certain level. Whereas if you're just pulling all these guys off, and it must be difficult in that locker, in that dressing room at the moment. You know what I mean? You've got Maguire, who knows he's not wanted. You've got McTominay, who knows he's not wanted. You've got Van de Beek, who knows he's not wanted. You've got Sancho out here on the periphery training wherever. Maybe he's back at the cliff training at this stage or whatever it is. And it's not good. From a motivational point of view, it must be pretty tough. Then you're looking at there's been a drop off from Casemiro in performance, a drop off from Eriksen in performance, the injuries, so much going on. Onana has come in, he hasn't quite hit the levels that they were maybe expecting. There's a lot of pressure at the moment around that squad at the moment, and normally when a squad like that tries to come together, it becomes quite toxic then for the manager and stuff like that. And you can tell by Ten Hag. I listened to him on his post-match interview there the other day and stuff like that, and kind of felt for the guy, because he's obviously being sold a bill of goods at Man United, and it hasn't transpired into anything like what he thought. I don't think when he signed for Man United he would have thought in his third transfer window, I think it is, that he'd be scrambling to loan in the likes of Reguilon and loan in the likes of Amrabat for that type of money and all. Targeting the Kim Min Jaes and the Frankie de Jongs of this world and that type of level of player and stuff like that, and Yuri and Timber going to Arsenal, and it's just, there's a lot of stuff there that's gone on that's just not good, and it's way off. And it's weird when you're sitting here, you're looking at it. I don't know how this is all going to play out. You could just as easy see Jadon Sancho leave the club in January. You could just as easy see Ten Hag being relieved of his duties. It's a messy time in that club at the moment. The owners have a lot to carry. I still believe that the actual sale of the club wasn't a sale, it was just a ruse in terms of the stock market. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Just me, outside, everyone knows I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm just talking from the outside in, giving an independent view on it, because I'm not in team Ten Hag or I'm not in team Jadon Sancho. I'm right down the middle. But I just think United in this case, it's amateur hour. It's an absolute shambles, and the information coming out in the communication is just absolutely shocking at the minute. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What way do you see this playing out? Sancho going to get back on the pitch? Ten Hag surely needs him. Are they going to be able to park both their situations to push forward for the good of Man United, the team, the squad, which is what's most important? Or our personality is going to get in the way and our thing's going to fall asunder? We've seen it with Mourinho, with Pogba. It never ends good. It gets really, really toxic. I don't think Ten Hag has an appetite for that. I'm not too sure whether Jadon Sancho cares enough. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, hit that thumb, and of course share the content and a like on the video. Until next time folks, talk to you real soon.